Hey guys, Jess and BJ here along with the beloved Dirt Diva, Catra Corbett, and we're bringing you another episode of the YTP Mini. Catra is well known in the ultra running world, and she has an amazing story that you can read all about in her book, Reborn on the Run, My Journey from Addiction to Ultra Marathons. If there's a crazy distance ultra, basically, Catra, you have crushed it. So thank you so much for carving out time. We met ever so briefly in the dark at Jackass Junction at Javelina, and I'm just really grateful to have you on our little mini pod.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and your resume is astounding. But let's just start this off with talking about a little guy who's just beginning to build his resume. I hear Baxter crushed it at his 5K yesterday. 5K,
yes, 32 minutes. And he's only been running for less than 2 months when I adopted him. I mean, he can't run far because he's going to be 7 months old in 2 days. So, but the vet approved him to run up to 3 miles. So,
oh my God.
He did a 5K, and I was going to bring my other dog, Truman, who has done 5 ultra marathons. He's done 550Ks, but he's retired from doing ultra marathons, and he goes up to about 8 miles still now with us. And, he's got like a heart issue, but he's like vet approved to run as much as he wants. And his sweet spot now is 8 miles. He used to do every other week, like 20 miles with me up until about a year and a half ago when he started with the heart thing. But, he's totally fine. He's 13 and a half, and he's still like running around like crazy with Baxter now.
Crushing it.
They're like running laps right now in the house as we speak. And they went out and did a 4-mile run today. We went up to almost 10,000 feet. So
nice.
Yeah.
I was surfing some like what's next kind of thing on Ultra Sign Up, and I saw that there's an Ultra in Bishop.
The Bishop High Sierra Ultras. So I did the 50-miler this year. They have a 100K 50-miler and I think like a 20-miler. Nice. So they have a few different distances, and it's beautiful. We had a lot of snow this year, so they had to like detour the course just a little bit, and we didn't have one of the aid stations out and back, but it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, you're running in the high desert. Normally it's super hot out there, and it was raining. We had rain, and so it was like what they would consider a cool year, but it could be like triple digits.
Oh man,
the time of year when they have it. But it's a beautiful course.
All right, so we're going to dive in here a little bit. That's what we do. We just dive right in.
Awesome.
And I know that you were scheduled to run Javelina as your 11th time at Javelina, but you pulled out, and you've been really vocal about this, that your head wasn't in the game. You weren't feeling that joy, and you decided to put yourself into service. And depression it's real. We see it with some of our athletes. We see it with athletes all the time. And so what do you have to say to those that are really navigating this, and also where does gratitude play into this?
So, definitely I was in a weird space. I mean, I just got done doing what's called a triple crown of 200. So it was all the 3 200s that are put on by Destination Trail Racing. So on top of that, though, I did Badwater. So I started off, did like 5 other 100-milers this year. And then I did Badwater. Then I did the Bigfoot 200. Then I did the John Muir Trail in between that and Tahoe. And then finished it off with a really good run at Moab 240, which I've run for 3 years. So I came in 3rd female, and I beat my time by over 7 hours. So I just mentally, like, even after that, I kept thinking, when it was getting closer and closer to Javelina, I'm like, I don't really even want to go. But I was going because I was going to promote my book, and I was like, you got to go. You've been there, how many years I've been going there. This was my second DNF actually there. And the funny thing is the last time I DNF'd, because I dressed as a clown, this time as like a killer creepy clown, I had the same clown doll on the back of my pack. So I gave that after I dropped out to Jubilee. I'm like, I don't want this creepy clown ever again in my life. But no, really going into it, my mind wasn't there, and I even considered dropping down. I was like, maybe I should just do the night run, because I didn't even really feel like I wanted to do 100K out there. So going into that first loop, and like I said, I mean, even driving there, I wanted to turn around and come home. I just didn't feel like I wanted to run. So, even when I woke up that morning, I'm like, just get out there and do a loop. And if you can find some reason that you need to stay out there, it'll be shown, to continue running. And so I did the first loop, and I came to the conclusion, it's like, no, you don't have to run. Like, go volunteer at Jackass, because my friend Justin has been the head guy over there for years, and I stay at his house all the time, and I never spend time with him. And I was like, okay, last time I dropped out, I went out there and helped too. So I called him up and I said, hey, can I go out there with you when you go on to your shift? And he's like, oh, we'd love to have you out there. So I ended up going out there. And then my friend Joyce, who was trying to drop out, who was struggling, she was just doing the 100K. I'm like, no, you can't drop out. I'm like, this is our plan. I'm going to pace you, so you have to keep going, because then when you get to me, then I'll pace you in, And so that kept her going. Otherwise, she would have DNF'd too. So I somehow got her. I stayed there at our start-finish area, because that's where I dropped out after the first loop. But when she came in, she was in a bad way, and she stayed there for like 45 minutes. But I helped her, and I got her going again, and then kind of helped her mind, because she even said she would have dropped out had I not had a conversation with her. So when you're feeling that way, it's like best to try to not force yourself to do something, because you can get an injury just from forcing yourself and not mentally being in it and whatever. And I just felt so grateful that I wanted to be out there to help. And I helped a lot of people. I got messages after. People were just like, oh my God, you got me to keep going. I was like, there wasn't a lot of ultra runners working that aid station. So, people would come in and they're just like, oh my God, I'm wrecked. And it's like, here, let me give you a bag of potato chips. Take these with you, drink some water. And there was a lot of people that were overdoing the salt, and now it's getting to be nighttime, and people weren't realizing. A lot of them were running the first 100, because you see how big that race is. And they're like, no, but I have to take salt every hour. And I'm like, no, it's nighttime and it's not hot out anymore, and you're eating way too much salty food on top of your electrolyte drink mix. So just cut all that and just start drinking water and still eat the salty food. So, I felt like my job was to be there, because I helped so many people being out there. And, and I was sad when I was driving home, like, oh, I should have been running it. But it was like, you know what? No, you weren't supposed to run it. If you were supposed to run it, you would have been staying out on that course. So, I got home and regrouped, just because I was so mentally fatigued just from everything I did. And I didn't realize it was hitting me really hard. And it was like I had to get back into eating good, because you lose a lot of weight when you're doing the Triple Crown. I mean, your body is just starving, because you're out there for multiple days when you're doing a 200-mile race. So, and I just think it all just came crumbling down, and I just needed to refocus. And I got the new puppy, and just like spend time on training him, making him a good dog for the trails and things like that. So, I'm feeling so much better. Talk to a lot of people. I have an appointment with my doctor in the Bay Area. Just get blood work, make sure everything's good too there. I get a physical every year, and it's just like, oh, check my B12 and all the D and all of that. And I'm also talking to somebody here. So it's just good to talk to people, and it's good to be open, because when you're open, then it helps other people. And on top of that, it just makes you realize, like, when you're reading what you're writing, you're like, oh yeah, it's like I need to reshift things and and change your priorities. And I did have a big year, and it just took a lot out of me. Any athlete, a lot of athletes go through that, I'm sure.
We all have that dark night of the soul. Do you have like a gratitude practice?
I have some quotes that I keep in my head. Like, I have a tattoo that says be brave and keep going, and then also on my side I have only those who risk going too far can possibly far how one. Oh my God, I'm messing it up. It's a T.S. Eliot quote. So, but just thinking of stuff like that, and then also thinking of people that are sick or suffering or injured. My boyfriend's been going through this injury. He broke his pelvis 18 months ago, and then he actually started to get back into running. He had surgery. He broke it in 12 places. His pelvis, and then he started running again, and he got re-injured at Bigfoot 200, and he tore a muscle, and so he has to have surgery on that, and he may have to have hip replacement. So, but at least he'll be able to get back out and go running again.
There you go.
This injury has just like really derailed him, and I just was feeling bad too. Like, all these races he's signed up for, and then he got injured, and so here I am, like, just jet setting, going here and there, and I'm like. But he never would say anything. He's like, good luck, have fun. And then I'm thinking, he's probably really like not feeling good about him not being able to run because he's signed up for all these races. And so he is for sure having surgery like next month on the torn muscle, and then possibly hip replacement at the same time. So we're going to find that out this week.
Always being grateful for when you can move.
Exactly. Because I've watched him suffer, and I'm just like, dang, it's like, so when I go to do all these races this year, he was signed up for all of them. I'm like, I'm running for you too, and and I think about my friends that, that are sick right now with cancer or things like that, and it's like, you got to run for those people. And I always get tons of messages from people that can't run right now, that are injured or going under treatment and stuff. And they're like, can you run a few miles for us? And that's like, of course. It's like, I'll run all my miles for you,
I love that service.
Yeah. So I'm just being grateful that I still can do this. I've been doing this since 1996, and it's like, one day I'm not going to be able to do this. So be grateful for that I can do it now, that my body's healthy enough to do it. And most of the time, mentally, I'm okay to do it, but no one to pull back, It's like no one to take a break. And I'm one of those people that, as you can see my personality, I'm like, go, go, go. It's like I always have to be signed up for something. So even after, dropping out of Javelina, and I was like, thinking about doing the 10 days at across the years, and I did the 6 days this year, and I was like, no, I don't want to run in a circle ever again for 1 mile for 6 days, and now I'm signed up for the 10 day.
That's somehow that happened.
Awesome.
I know. Well, and it's funny too, because my birthday, so for my birthday every year, instead of like most people run miles, so I'll be 55 in December, so I run for hours, and I started it when I was 40, so I'm like, okay, I'm doing 40 hours. Then 41 hours, and then I was like, okay, when I turn 50, that's the end of this hours business, and I always recruit my friends who come out, and my birthday's Christmas Eve, so I always do it like a week or two before Christmas, so it just happens to work out because they take, vacation around that time, and so people come out at night and run with me. So I'm going to do my birthday run over at Across the Years because it'll be like on the 28th, so I'm going to do it after. So I have a place where I could do my first 55 hours for something for my birthday and then continue on for whatever 10 days.
I love it. That's awesome.
But I will bring my dogs with me too. So I'm going to rent an RV, and then they can be there. And friends of mine are getting married, so I asked them if I could be in their wedding. So the dogs are going to be the ring bearers, and I'm going to be the flower girl.
That's awesome. I love it.
So talking about your recovery, right? You're coming down from this huge season, and you're vegan. And
yes.
How long have you been vegan?
25 years since I got clean and sober. The day I got clean and sober, I'm like going vegan. I've been vegetarian since I was 9 and was pretty strict vegetarian for many years. And right before I got clean and sober, me and a couple of my friends were like, oh, we should go vegan. We were talking about it when we were like in a drug state somewhere, and we were like constantly, yeah, we're going to go vegan. And so right when I got clean and sober, I went to jail. I came out of jail, and I was like, okay, I'm going vegan now. So it started from there.
So obviously you're committed.
Yeah.
So what's one thing, because we get a lot of listeners on here who are, they're plant curious, and they're listening because it's something that they want. It's and they're not finding that connection. But what would you want to scream from the mountaintops to help them maybe get more plant curious, or maybe make that transition to a plant-based diet?
I would suggest that they listen to Rich Roll or get one of his books, because he's really got a lot of information out there, and I was on his podcast too. But it's like, people are always like, where do you get your protein? Well, I was actually fruitarian for 3 years, so only ate fruit, and I didn't wither away to nothing. I ran my fastest 100-mile time, but I got bored just eating total fruit. And so then I kind of went back and forth with my raw diet, and I go back and forth with that. In the winter, I tend to eat more cooked stuff, and in the summer, eat more raw fruits and vegetables. But just, if you're eating enough food, eating enough calories, you're getting all the protein you need. So a lot of people are really confused by the fact that they're like, oh no, I have to have such and such amount of protein, and you're getting it from even plants. So
absolutely,
everything has protein, and people, I'm not withering away.
No,
you're excelling. Yeah.
And we know what's next. You're doing the crazy 10-day thing.
Yes.
I have a question, which I think perhaps some of our ultra runners will appreciate. Do you have any remedies for like beat up sore toes?
My feet don't get cash.
Be grateful for that. Put that on your gratitude list.
Well, let me tell you though, for the first, from the time I started doing 100 milers in 99 until 2010, I just thought that's what happened. You have really bad blisters and you deal with it and you tape your feet best you can. And so I started wearing Hoka in 2010. I met the co-founder and I switched to wearing Hokas, and then I switched to wearing Dry Max socks, and I hardly ever get blisters. I mean, in 200s, stuff will rub, and I have one of the medics tape it, but I don't get, I mean, I was like literally like crying, like when I'd be finishing a 100 miler because my feet were so blistered. So, but Squirrel's Nut Butter, I lube my feet with that.
Love
and
them.
They made the vegan version because of me and Truman, and that's why there's a wiener dog on the lid. If you look at the orange one, it's supposed to be Truman's image.
I love it. That's
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
he's coming up with a lip balm. I'm like, make a lip balm. I'm like,
With
it's really hard to
sunscreen.
find. Oh, that would be good too. I should actually tell him that. There's stuff he can put in it because he's working on it right now to come up with something like that. Because it's really hard to find vegan lip balm. Everything has beeswax.
Yeah.
Or the ones that don't, it just doesn't work right.
Yeah.
You know, so I use my vegan Squirrel Nut Butter on my lips anyways when I'm
Me too.
racing. You know, I just have he makes the smaller roll-ons for me to carry in my pocket. So I just use that as a lip balm.
I love those guys. They're great.
Yeah, they are awesome.
So you've done obviously probably 10Ks, half marathons, 50Ks, and you've built up to 200s. And
Well, no, I
haven't.
started with 10K and then went straight to a marathon. So the only time I've run 5Ks or a 10K or a half marathon was with my wiener dog Truman, like shorter stuff. So yeah, I've never run like a 5K by myself. Like yesterday was like my third 5K. I ran 2 with Truman this year and then 1 with Baxter. So I went straight from 10K to a marathon and then did marathons and then did ultras, like went right into ultras once I found out about them.
What can you say? Because that's, that takes will and determination. Obviously, there's something inside of you that is compelled, right? You just can't do there's that drive. What can you say to people that say that they can't? They see what you're doing and they're like, there's no way I can do that.
I get that question people say that to me all the time when I'm like, oh, you could do this or that. And they're like, oh, well, no, I could never run a 100 miler. And they're already doing ultras. And I'm like, well, yeah, you could. You just don't want to. So you have to have the want. And even people that do marathons are like, I could never run a 50K. And I'm like, it's not that much further. You could, but you don't want to. So if you choose to want to, you can. If I can train a 9-pound dachshund to run 550Ks, which I never thought he'd be running a 50K. It wasn't something I intended to do with him when I first got him when he was 6.5 years old, but he would follow me on the trail. So I would just say, you can if you want. And then I use the Truman, and then they're like, now I have to run a 50K if the wiener dog can run a 50K.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think we can do anything. So
you can. You have to want to. It's a matter of wanting it.
Yes.
If you tell your mind, no, I can't, then you won't do that thing, that whatever it may be, rock climb, swim, whatever. It's like you have to want to.
Yep.
So anything you want, you can do in life.
I love that. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. That's amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm sure that I'm just a couple years into the ultra running world. And so I'm sure that our paths will cross again. And
Also, you had a 200 miler.
I haven't, you know what? Damn, girl, I swear to God, that
They're easier than hundreds.
Oh, my God.
They are easier than hundreds.
I went out today for like 10K on the trail, and I was like, on the way home, I was like, oh, that 10K felt crappy. But I'm thinking to myself, I could definitely do a 200.
You could, because you would be walking a lot more. If you can wrap your mind around knowing that you're going to be walking a lot of it, and you go 20 miles in between aid stations, so you're self-sufficient. If you could have done any hiking in your life or backpacking, it's more on that line. But you obviously want to go faster than you would be just hiking. But it's a whole different mindset. And once you wrap your mind around aid station to aid station, you could do it. It's totally doable. And I've trained 3 people that have done very little ultras, and they've finished our 200 milers. So.
All right. Well, I'll see you at a 200 then, I guess.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Moab 240 in October, next October. That's a really nice one.
I love it.
We'll see. Thank you so much.
Thank
we
you.
really
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
you giving us some of your Sunday, and just go love your boys, all of them,
I am.
and take good care of yourself.
Thank you so much, you guys.